Hello all, and welcome to another episode of Up to 11 with me, Killjoy, the show that reviews video game soundtracks, whether the game's good or bad. So no matter how good the rave reviews are, or how bad they are, I'll still do the soundtrack if I can. And today I'm looking at Rayman Origins, and there's only really one word to describe this soundtrack, and that is it's mad. This is a very mad soundtrack, which is great. It's quite nice to hear something a bit different. It's designed to fit with the complete feel of the game, and the feel of the game is very cartoony, very silly, very fun. So the soundtrack itself is very fun. It's that instead of being kind of a movie-esque grand scale, like Call of Duty Battlefield or Mass Effect, things like that, which have money pumped into it to make them sound like a movie-type soundtrack. Yeah, so this soundtrack is a lot of fun, and one of the first tracks that you come across in the game is called the Darktoon Chase, which is the first one I'm going to play. And this is a very recognisable piece of music because of one instrument, which is a Jew's harp. For those who don't know what a Jew's harp is, it is an instrument that basically you put between your mouth and you pluck a piece of metal and it makes a spring-like sound. It's, but like I said, very recognisable, and that's the first thing you hear when you hear this track. The track itself is a mixture of jazz, funk and rock. There's various elements from each three there. And the track has quite a nice instrumentation. You've got electric guitar, acoustic guitar, some strings, obviously the Jew's harp, and I think an oboe in there, which gives it a kind of silly feel as well, which is quite nice. So, have a listen to this first track, and hopefully it'll set the scene for the rest of the show, and you'll see what I mean by silly soundtrack. So here we are, this is the Darktoon Chase. Yeah, so that was the Darktoon Chase. Hopefully now you can kind of get a feel for what the soundtrack's going to be like for the rest of this show. I really like that track. I like the fact that it's got a nice mixture of flavours in there. It's cool. It's very original, I think. Right, so the next track that's going to be played is later on in the game, I believe, and it's called First Staffs. This track is I think it's got a xylophone in it, which gives it a kind of tribal-esque feel as well, with an orchestra, orchestrated instruments in the background. It's quite a nice mix actually. It's very relaxed, this track as well. It's kind of reminiscent of things like maybe the early Crash Bandicoot games, Pac-Man World, and maybe loosely Civilization. Some of them maybe like 4 or 3, where some of it's got that similar type music. It's like I said, it's really relaxing. So give this one a listen and see what you think to this. Yeah, so that was First Staffs. Like I said, I really like that piece as well. It's very relaxing, which is quite nice. And I have to be honest, that's one of the more tame tracks in the rest of the soundtrack for this game. Most of the tracks have some kind of, I don't know, crazy singing or crazy instrument in it. That one for that world, I believe, is quite a peaceful world. So don't judge the game on that. But there is most of the other stuff is pretty crazy. So the next track we're going to be listening to is a track called Shooting Me Softly, which is basically similar to the first track in the fact that it has a very recognisable instrument, in the fact of that it is a kazoo that is the main instrument for this piece of music, and if you were to take the kazoo away from this track, it would be quite an epic, serious track that you would hear in possibly, I don't know, other games perhaps. But because the kazoo's in there, it kind of makes you want to laugh or smile. It's so silly and dopey. It's actually really cool. It's also a slight sort of Tetris-y sounding part to this track, which is kind of cool. I like the fact that they've tried to be it, and then they've got that little sort of unseriousness with the Tetris on it. So have a listen to this track. This one, like I said, is called "Shoot Me Softly," and you'll know what I mean when you hear the kazoo playing this. So have a listen. So yeah, that was "Shooting Me Softly," and you can tell from that track that that really kind of sums up the rest of the soundtrack for the game. It is nuts, but it's good. I do like the fact that, you know, with a game like this that's come out, that it has something that isn't, you know, it's very uncommon to hear something like this, I find, anymore. So yeah, it's quite nice to hear that. Right. So that's it for this episode of Up to 11. Please do the normal stuff and like, subscribe and all that. The YouTube channel itself will hopefully be getting updates as time goes on, so it doesn't look so plain. But yeah, please, like I said, subscribe, like and all that and whatnot. I'd also like to point out that I will be doing classic soundtracks for older games as well. Most of the music that I'm going to be doing is for more modern soundtracks, kind of in the last year and over the course of this year, but I will be doing maybe one a week of a classic, either classic tunes or an actual classic game soundtrack reviews, so have a look out for that. But other than that, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.